And you're listening to Victory Talk Radio here on Victory Radio, Music for the Soul. And if you'd like to learn more about this show, you can go on Facebook.com and just do a search for Victory Talk Radio. It'll bring it right up, and you can see past guests and current guests and other little neat things that we post on the page there. And it is my honor right now to introduce to you Nancy Bennett, who has a wonderful ministry that we're going to talk about. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how the Lord called you into the ministry.
I was raised in with a ministerial family. However, that didn't really call me into the ministry. I had to wait for the exact call from the Holy Spirit himself. I have 43 years of healthcare, nursing, and respiratory, and in 1986 felt that it was more ministry, that's what I was going into, than healthcare. So I asked the Lord one day, I said, I was really getting frustrated, and I said, which one do you want me to do? Do you want me to do ministry or medical? He said, Nancy, you can't do one without the other. So from then on, I knew that medical missions was my heart. I knew I was going to be a nurse by the time I was 9 years old. So I went with, nursing and then respiratory, and then I finally went through the theology, and I finally obtained my doctorate in Christian education from Covenant Bible College and Seminary in Tallahassee, Florida. And I like to write curriculum. I like to teach. I have, with the Bishop's permission out of the Appalachian Conference, he asked me to reestablish the Ward Pentecostal Holiness Church that had been closed. And so I went there after he asked me to go. My brother's assistant superintendent, and I had asked him one day, just right out of the blue, I was just riding in Bedford County, Virginia, and it just came to me, call your brother and ask him what's the poorest church in the conference. And so I called him up, and he said, without a doubt, I can tell you. So from there, within a few miles from where I am now, I went there 4 years ago now, to McDowell County, West Virginia, and reestablished the church there, reopened it. It had closed, and opened the doors and cleaned it and repaired it and put a new ceiling, took the old ceiling out, and there was bats in the ceiling, and they were coming down on the pulpit, and it was kind of like a nightmare. But I've been in missions overseas, so nothing really surprised me. Mm-hmm. So we cleaned it up, my husband and I had took in some medical teams from Lynchburg, and got the church reestablished in May of 4 years ago. It'll be 3 years in May of this year, 2016. And from there, I was able to establish some schools to be put in there. There's not any money in Ward, West Virginia. It's a rural, poverty-stricken area, designated as a third world state in the United States of America. In 1960, John Kennedy went through there and said that if he won the election, he would make sure they got some help there, and he did, as good as his word was. And then Lyndon Johnson in 1964, he established and declared unconditional war on poverty. So from there, they were able to get some funds and get Medicare and Medicaid and food. And so knowing all of this and doing some research with the demographics and so forth, established the church with the food pantry. I took 3 ladies from several different churches within the area and took them into another part of West Virginia to have them trained, up in Huntington, West Virginia, to be trained to take care of food banks in their churches, so that we wouldn't be the only one, and then get contracts with the USDA. I'd already had USDA contracts in Florida, because I have a mission in Florida also. And so we just started just serving the people. There was a need. They were weary. They were tired. They were hungry. There was no jobs, no transportation. The nearest work they could get to was 25 miles away without any public transportation. There's just not any money other than food stamps, and some of them are a lot of them, I guess, are on disability. But there isn't any transportation. The biggest thing there now is the rampant cases of cancer within the war area, which is in McDowell County. I talked to a man on Saturday, and he said that he kept listing the ones on the street where he lived, and he named case after case, until it was 6 to 8 cases he named that lived side by side each other. So it's a major problem with illness there. The data is that folks in Northern Virginia live 18 years longer than the ones in McDowell County. It's just not just economic. There's drugs, there's alcohol, because of job losses, the mines closing, so many of them closed. That people just didn't have a way out, they thought. And so they just turn to not just buying it, but stealing medications, prescription medications, or going to the doctor, getting as much as they could. Just the rampant of drugs and alcohol, and just kind of the whole town is kind of almost closed down with the businesses and so forth. Very few businesses are operating. But there's hope there. I mean, I know God does not waste his time by sending people into an area like that. So I'm privileged to know that I feel very privileged and chosen to go in there and see what I can do. I do evaluations every 3 months on the area, geographically and demographically, how I can get in, how I can help the people, because some people don't want to be helped, and a lot of it, they don't see the educational needs because they don't see where they're going to work anyway, so what's the hope of getting an education? So it's a battle of trying to decide, how to reach them. So I go to prayer, and we start having 3 services on Sunday. I have a community dinner on Thursday night. Friday night is youth. Saturday is I meet with folks and go out and meet and go out and see them and visit with them. So it's full-time Thursday evening through Sunday, and come back on Monday to Lynchburg to work in the Nurses Aid program that we have training and teaching in Lynchburg. So it's 7 days a week. No matter where you go, there's a need. And so my main goal is to put out medical missionaries. That's what I started doing back in the 80s and the 90s, was starting to put out medical missionaries and training them. And so really that is the object, is to train them, because we also have in a nearby town in Moore, which is in Bradshaw, I've gotten permission and have taken students in for the last 2 years from Medical Missions Program in Lynchburg, and that's their clinical site where they do their internship in one of the free clinics there. So there's a whole circle of teaching and training that comes with this program. Some people will not, some of the nurses aides that are graduating, they won't go into medical missions particularly, but they'll go into the hospitals or in the doctor's offices or nursing homes and work. So it's a faith-based program. So we're still training them no matter if they go overseas or if they stay inside the States. So it's an exciting field, and the one thing that I have found that really works is God's Word.
Mm-hmm. Yep, amen.
Mm-hmm.
How, it breaks my heart when you hear about what's happening in War, West Virginia. It's hard to believe that something like that is happening in the United States of America. How have they responded to the gospel since you started going there and preaching the Word?
Well, the funny thing is, I did ask God about this myself. As I was going down to that area, I didn't know anybody. And so when my brother told me he had a contact there with one of the pastors that's in the conference up in Dublin, he said, you called this guy. And so I called him cold. He didn't know me from the side of the wall. And I said, look, this is how I got in. I said, my mother has a ministry. She's 90-some years old. She has a ministry of dolls. She had over 100 dolls. She'd say DOLLS and teddy bears. And I did not want to give them less than what I would have given a child outside of a third world state. And I was concerned that I would hurt their feelings. And once I hurt their feelings, I would never get in. So, and I didn't know I was going to be reestablishing this church at the time. I was just filling in just because I just felt like I needed to go there. Never been there, didn't know what I was getting into. Just knew I was supposed to make that call to go into that area. And so when I called this pastor, Lacey Griffith, kindest man, and I said to him, Pastor Griffith, my brother is so-and-so. I did use my brother's name because everybody knew me. And I said, he gave me your name, and I have a doll. My mother has a doll ministry and teddy bear ministry, and she's 90-some years old. She can't travel now. I was just wondering if I could bring those. I said, now they're not all new, but I would like to have them adopted by some folks in your church. At that time, I didn't know anything about the War Church where I'm at now, and it was only like a couple minutes down the road. And I had gotten this idea that I had worked the streets in Daytona Beach with the homeless for years at the other church I was at in Florida. And so I remembered the little bandanas and the sticks they carried and the little cloths they put on the sticks, and they'd come to the church and they'd leave their sticks outside the church. I'm thinking, you know what? I think I can use those dolls and do them up as homeless dolls and get them adopted into that McDowell County area. I don't want to hurt them. I just got to love these people. I hadn't even met them. And so that got me there, and the preacher says to me, Brother Griffin says, hey, you know what? You bring whatever you have. And he says, I want you to have dinner with us for our Christmas dinner in December. Well, that was the opening door. The Lord had prepared it because I didn't know anybody, so I can take no credit. Went in there and then just started helping fix up the churches, put a roof on one of the parsonages of one of the pastors' places that he couldn't even live in. The rats had eaten through the walls, and the plumbing was all the pieces, holes in the floor. And this is another church, not the one I'm at now, and neither was, it's not the one where I went to visit either. It was, this man came to there, and I met him and found out he had a need at his parsonage, and he couldn't live in the parsonage, and he was driving back and forth every weekend to there, had no place to even lay his head. And so we went up there, and I took a team out of Lynchburg, put a roof on part of his church, and we fixed his parsonage, sealed the floors, scrubbed clean, took the curtains down, the whole 9 yards, fixed that place up. It was beautiful. So from there, we just started doing things up in the mountain areas. And then when the bishop came to my brother's church in Lynchburg, I was there at that meeting, and I went to the altar to say, hello and so forth, because I really didn't know him, because I really was ordained out of the Sunshine Conference in Florida. And so I was up here just helping with Mom and my dad and just getting involved in some of the ministry projects that my brother had. And so the bishop said, hey, would you like to take that church in war? And I said, are you kidding? I don't know anything about that place, I was just there helping. So I waited, I guess, 5 or 6 more months. And it just was in my heart. And I said, well, let me just go visit the church and see if the Lord speaks to me. So I went over there, and they opened up the door. And when I went through and it still breaks my heart, but when I went through that church, they let me in that church just to see what was in there. And when I went from the vestibule to go down the aisle, I felt it. And I looked up, and I saw the roof caving in on the church, and that it was desolate. And I said, okay, I know that feeling. I've been in other churches I had to fix up before. Mm-hmm. So I told my husband, I said, I think we're going to land here for a while. And luckily, I really got in there just by listening to the Holy Spirit and just letting Him lead me and guide me and direct me, because I didn't know anything, anybody, to even get in there. So, except what my brother told me, just call him. He didn't say, why don't you go? I just said, I believe I'm supposed to go there. I was running a CNA program for Tree of Life Ministries, which I still do. And I said, my brother, I said, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving your program that I'm helping you build here, and the Ministry of Health program that I'm doing for you here. But I believe I'm supposed to be in War, West Virginia from Thursday through Sunday. He said, if the Lord tells you to go, you go. I understand. So I balanced it now for 3 years of Florida, Virginia, and West Virginia. So I guess my husband's getting a little tired, but I'm energetic with it.
That's a long trip. That's a long trip, Florida to West Virginia.
Yeah, it's like 14 hours from War to where we live in Florida, and I have a mission in Florida, and then it's 12 hours from Florida to Virginia. So.
Wow. But that's just impressive, the way that God put that on your heart and you answered the call. I mean, it's not. I'm sitting here listening to this. It's not unlike what the Apostle Paul did when he went, and the other apostles when they went around starting churches in Asia Minor. So, well, you're also other exciting news. You're also starting a college in Virginia, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, in Lynchburg, Virginia, the Tabernacle of Praise out of Florida, which is the church that I'm pastoring there with the ministry. That's the name of our ministry, Tabernacle of Praise. That is that ministry is coordinating and joint venturing with Tree of Life Ministries in Lynchburg, Virginia, with the School of Certified Nurses Aides. We have a nursing aid program that I wrote the plan for my brother, got it for his church. I'm just joint venturing with them. That is licensed by the Virginia Board of Nursing. This is our third year of training nurses aides. I hire instructors, and they teach, and they take them into the nursing homes for their clinical training, and then they take state boards, and they can work in nursing homes, hospitals, doctor's offices, or wherever. And some of the students I've had, they're in medical missions. So the medical missions program is under Covenant Bible College and Seminary, which I graduated from Tallahassee. That is a satellite campus that I had brought out of Florida because I had it at the other church I was pastoring. And so I brought it along with me up here with their permission from Tallahassee, which is a satellite campus at Lynchburg, Virginia. So we have the Covenant Bible College and Seminary satellite campus. We also have the Nurses Aid program, and then there's the School of Ministry. And what I did in war was because there's just not enough, there's not any money, no tuition or anything there. So the CNA program, the Certified Nurses program up here, actually my portion that comes out of there into the ministry, I use for missions. So that's really how I can help fund missions, is what the ones who can pay into, and I do set up installment plans for the students for the Nurses Aid program, so that's not hardship on them either. And we help finance their programs. And then that way, whatever money comes into the Tabernacle of Praise, then I use it to support the missions in Florida and in West Virginia. That's how we get in there with money, because there isn't any money from the areas there. There's nothing, you can't make any money there. So, and the people that do come to the church and offer their monies, it's not enough to pay the bills on the church. So you have to make the money outside the area to be able to bring it in there, because I have to stock the food pantry, and we also have to pay utilities and insurance.
Wow. You talk about what's happened in Warren, West Virginia with people and the struggling there with finding work and everything. What would you say to someone who is struggling in life and wondering if there is a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, that's what I had to come up with for the observations and what do I expect? I was looking at what do I expect from these folks with nothing, if you want to look at it that way. That the scriptures gives you the hope. It's Jesus Christ is the only hope they have, and almost all the mines are closed down. I got a text this afternoon that please pray that my husband one of the mines is considering to be opening again. Please pray that he gets his job back again. Otherwise, he has to move. We have to either stay here, and he has to go somewhere and work for 4 months at a time, and he won't get back in here. That splits up families. So the only hope is that I started a school that I felt that it is going to be the power of God that's going to change the lives and keep them stable, because even Christians there that have been in the church for a long, long time, not necessarily our church, but ones I talked to on the streets, they said, there's no hope for this place. It's not going to get any better. And I said, it won't if you talk like that. You have to depend on God. He has a plan for this place. He does not waste his time. And his word shall not go void. So I'm urging you to turn this thing around. So on Sunday nights at 5 o'clock, we have a healing service. It's not just for physical ailments. It's for mental and anguish and depression and oppression that comes from the enemy that makes these people think that there's no hope. As long as there's breath in their body, God can change that thing around. So there is some problems there that has really hurt the people in the last month. Some of the government officials have come in to say they're going to close their swimming pool, which they closed it. It's the only thing the children had in the summer, and they're going to close the lake where everybody goes to fish. They just can't afford it. And so there's one lady who's working on grants. My husband and I are working with McDowell, a revitalization project. We're trying to help folks fix up their houses, give them hope that let's repair your house. There's people that live in houses with light bulbs swinging down and the roof is falling in and the porches are falling out off the house, and they're still sleeping in those houses at night with their children. And it's one of the worst areas is in the Yukon area, right there on the same street as our church, right down the road from that. So we're doing carry-out meals, but our funds are so limited that, Lord have mercy, it would take a lumber yard to come in there to be able to supply what we need to help these people. And we have supplied as much as we can possibly do. And we take in roofing materials, plyboards, there's mixtures of cement, all kinds of stuff. And they do have some help with utilities once or twice a year from the government, but not often. It's very cold. They have to buy their coal. Even though it's so much coal there, they have to buy coal and wood for their stoves. The light bills, I'm telling you, it's outrageous. Some people are paying $1,200 a month for lights. Unbelievable. And so utilities are very high there. The water tends to be, perhaps needs to be a little bit cleaner. Some of the sewage is going into the rivers, and it's right there in front of you. So there are some things that need to be cleaned up. But the people have, so many of them just don't know where to turn and what to do. And I mean, who do you tell and how do you take care of it? And they're just overwhelmed with no money and loss of jobs and no transportation. And they're not just lazy people. I mean, we can't classify them all in the same boat. Well, you could get up and you get out. Once you're in war, they find it very hard to get out because there's no transportation, and plus they don't have any money to get out or go any place to start a new life. I don't want them to really leave. I really want them to stay because I want to be with them. I want to help them and see if we can't overcome this thing. I know it's going to be piece by piece. And, I mean, I've got one lady who's lived there all of her life, and she's in her heart. Her house is not perfect, but she says that I want to help them build their houses. She has a heart for her own people, and that's what it takes. Mm-hmm. Not just an outsider like me going in. Because another thing, too, is ministries can actually hurt people sometimes, and by giving and giving and giving, but not showing them how to get out of the situation they're in. So we tend not to just unload on these people and just give them everything that they might want. We try to teach them the Word of God, show them there's hope, comfort them, be with them, encourage them, and feed them when they're hungry, give them clean water. I collect medical supplies for them. I go to medical clinics. I take Bibles. I'm on that field. And to me, that gives them hope because they see somebody does care about us. And they're here. They haven't gone anywhere. It's better than going in there on a weekend and dumping off a bunch of clothes and taking off back up the mountain. I'm just not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow, I'll tell you what, this is... I'm just humbled by listening to this. It sounds like what you're describing is something from like the 1800s almost, and it's sad to see. But tell us, if people want to help or want to find more information about either war or your college, is there anywhere online they can go or a way they can contact you?
Yes, let me give you my website.
Okay.
It's all spelled out, praiseatthetop.com. praiseatthetop.com.
Well, Nancy, this has just been eye-opening, and we're definitely going to have you back on sometime for the full hour again at some point in the near future, because people need to hear about this, and hopefully somebody will hear this and be moved and motivated to help. I mean, it sounds like, particularly when you were describing the conditions of the houses, we need some, government is not going to help. We need private industry to move on some of this and help out.
We need a lumber yard.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has just been great, and we'll have you back on very soon.
Thank you so much, John.
And that'll do it for this week's edition of Victory Talk Radio. I'll be back next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for listening, and keep it tuned in right here on Victory Radio.